Okay. I am looking forward to a beautiful morning. I believe that every one of us is doing that we are looking for a beautiful morning. Allow me to say a big welcome to Mental Health Mondays. We are here today exploring and digging into the many facets of mental health and how they intersect and how they affect our lives. Today's episode of Mental Health Mondays is going to shine a light on the symbiotic relationship between our physical health and our mental well-being. We are joined by two incredible guests, Selam, who has walked this journey and been able to deal with some of the mental health challenges through some things that she has done. And she'll be talking to us about that, her renewed focus on physical health. And Dr. Lenny is a medical expert who will provide us with a deeper understanding of the interconnection between mental health and physical health, and he'll be talking to us about that. And so let's go ahead and embark on this journey to holistic health, if I'll put it that way, by welcoming my guests. I'm going to give them a moment to introduce themselves, and then we'll be able to kick in and we'll be able to dig into what is before us. And so a big welcome to you, Dr. Lenny Muchina, and a big welcome to you, Selam Kairu. It's good to have you here today, and I believe that we'll have an amazing time in our meeting today. And so let's begin with you, Selam. If you could, introduce yourself, who you are, and so that the audience can know you.
All right. Thank you, Pastor, for this opportunity to come and share my story. My name is Selam Kairu. I'm married with two beautiful daughters, age 15 and 12. I'm the director of strategy and innovation at Dawit Insurance, a firm that we, together with my husband, began many years ago, almost 19. I'm excited to be here. Apart from that, I love serving God. I work a lot with children and the children's ministry. I love serving at ICC Mombasa. A journey I began right here online during the COVID days. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Selam. And it's good to have you here, and so grateful also for everything that you do. And let's go to you, Dr. Lenny Muchina, if you could introduce yourself and just tell us about yourself briefly.
Thank you, Reverend, and good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Lenny Muchina. I am in general practice, and I have been doing this now for probably about up to 18 years now. And so I have a bit of experience in this area, in general practice, that is. And most people would refer to me as a family doctor, family medicine doctor, because I am particularly not invested in a particular field or specialty. Beyond that, I'm in the business, I'm in the private sector. Basically, I am running my own practice. Beyond that, my health practice is called Afia Plus. And here we not only treat the physical, the mental, and other aspects of health, but we are also interested in the spiritual well-being. In other words, after we have given you the medication, the treatment, and whatever treatment plan we have, we shall always add a little bit of a prayer here and there to encourage you and to basically get you connected to God, because that is what we are all about. And so today I'm glad to be on this platform and to share from this platform on which we'll be able to talk about both physical and the mental health and how the two are able to correlate in our lives and how best we can manage our health. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Dr. And thank you, Selam. And I noticed that, in your various fields and the things that you do, you're not newbies. You've been at it for a while. And karibuni sana. And I'd like to begin with you, Selam. If you could share with us the challenges you faced with your physical health and mental health, especially during the trying times of COVID-19.
All right. So during let me just say, slightly before COVID, I started having health challenges. I was put on medication, and I know Dr. Lenny would understand this. A lot of us as women, as we progress in age, because of not, taking care of ourselves physically, mentally, our bodies take a beat. And so I was going through that. And one of the physical health challenges I had was low vitamin D. Yeah, I was aching everywhere. I was getting constant headaches. I would feel in a farm somewhere working so hard, and I'm like, wait a minute, I just woke up from sleep. Why am I so tired? Why am I, not able to function? So my body was constantly tired. My mind, was exhausted all the time. And I would begin even to forget things. I remember this one time I had an appointment with someone. It was on my calendar, but I never looked at it. And the person called me and said, "Where are you?" And I was like, sorry, I forgot. I would forget things. I would say things that you wonder, okay, what's up? Even I was involved with my children's education. So they'll ask me, what's wrong? What's going on? So I was constantly tired. I had body pain, joint pain, just lethargic, no interest in doing things that would excite me. So I went to the hospital, and that's when they discovered, I did a wellness checkup, and they said I had vitamin D issues. And then they said, this is not good. It could be something else. And so they did other tests, and they said I have hypothyroidism issues. And I was like, what is that? I don't understand that. They put me on medication. Medication did not help at that point. It did for a while, but then I don't know. There are side effects to some of that medication, which really got me stressed out all the time. And so I got really tired. And so COVID came. When COVID came, just before COVID, I started doing some few exercises, walks, and swimming. But when COVID came, it worsened because going anywhere, the children have to do online learning, and at that point, I'm trying to juggle between the housework, office work, and helping the children with their classes. And at that time, I didn't even have somebody to help me in the house. So I was overstretched, not just physically, but mentally. And at some point, I snapped. At some point, I was very helpless and really tired. And I just got angry, frustrated at everyone in the house. And so my physical health, took a beating at that point. And yeah, the list is endless. But I had, one thing that I forgot to mention, I had body inflammation. So my face would swell, my legs would swell. Of course, you're sitting down long hours, doing Zoom meetings. So there was a lot going on in my physical health at that time. Yeah.
Okay. Wow, you've described quite a bit of information and content there. And I'd like to just find out, because you mentioned that you began interacting with ICC Mombasa online on Zoom in a class. Would you tell us about that class, and also how did your journey begin to change from just some of this frustration and difficulties that you were having?
Thank you. So at that point, when all that was going on, I was stretched. I was always constantly having mood swings, angry, and all that. Our generation, we look for solutions everywhere. So one of the things I was looking at was I was online, and fortunately enough, I used to follow you on Facebook. We knew each other maybe when I was in campus. You shared the word of God with us in campus at USIU. And so I used to follow you. And at that point, you shared a poster on Facebook that talked about a program called Anchor. And I was like, what is this? It's very easy for you to say, if it's discipleship, I've done many discipleship classes. Forget it, But I looked at it, and it was a webinar like this. You said, come in and listen to what we have to say. There was a first class. So I just logged in out of curiosity. And when I logged in, I realized ICC Mombasa has this program called Anchor that doesn't just work with your spiritual life, but all the facets of your life, your physical health, your mental health, your finances, your relationships. And so one of the things that really helped me was on this day, you made us do assessment of where we are at using the wheel of life. And when I did that, I realized the gaps that I had, especially in my physical health, and not being able to do what was expected of me in that area. So I signed up for the course. I joined the classes. I was there every day, every week for the class. And there were things that were expected of us. And week 2 is about your physical health. And so when I was doing this course, one of the things that really, what I say is it really hit home, is the fact that I need to do something. Now that I am aware of my health, not being on a scale of 1 to 10 at 1 or 0, I need to do something about it. And here is a program that I signed up for that can help me walk this journey. So awareness is the first thing, the first step that I had as a person, that I became aware I need to do something. And, of course, there are instructions that you're given in this class, what you need to do. You memorize scripture, from that week, we memorize my health may fail and my spirit may grow weak, but God remains the strength of my life. And I was like, this is it. I'm not just doing physical exercise, drinking water, eating right, but there is also a spiritual side of it. And so I began that journey. And I gave myself goals, at the end of the study, you will do some goals. And one of the goals that I set was, I'm going to be strong physically, mentally, and be able to do things that look so impossible. So I have this mindset, I cannot do sports. I cannot do any physical activity. So all that was, scrapped off, and I began to do movement. I would wake up at 5 a.m., do walks. We cannot go outside at that time. So I would get YouTube videos and walk. And then later on, I realized I need to get someone that I can be accountable to. So I found a friend who helped me in this journey. We would wake up 5 a.m., do some fitness. And then people in my house started asking, what are you doing? What are these things you're doing? Especially my husband. And he's like, even me, I want. So he joins the class, and he also joins the fitness. And we start doing it together. And the kids too. I enroll them in some dance classes to help them with the movement, because that's what they enjoy to do. And then slowly people began to do bike riding. And then I would do the walking. And eventually I started, warming up to this whole thing and realizing, there's certain things that happen when you become aware. and that lack of ignorance can cost your entire life. And right now where I'm at is I'm not taking medication. I'm not having any of those things. In fact, I do my wellness checkups every year, and so far from 2021, I've not had to take the medication. And I keep asking, sometimes you go to the doctor, you go like, can go to Dr. Lenny and say, Dr. Lenny, do I have this thing anymore? And the doctor goes like, no, you're fine, you don't have to. And some of the things people said, even the doctors, like you cannot get off this medication. It's something that you have to take for your life, but I am okay. And the tests show that I do not have hypothyroidism. And so what I'm doing is I'm aware, and number two, I'm ensuring that I exercise, do some form of movement. And sometimes when we talk about movement, people think, it's too much, it's painful. I started doing what I enjoy. I like swimming and I like walking. I tried the gym. It wasn't, I was having so much pain. So I started doing what? And so you keep trying, look for what works for you. And that's what I did to ensure that my physical health is where, it is right now. Yeah. I'm not there yet completely, but progressive steps. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Selam. I'd like to actually throw this to Dr. Lenny, but before I do, allow me to ask you the question. As you worked on your physical health, how did that impact your mental health? Because you talked about being angry, easily irritable, and quite a number of the other things that you talked about. And so here you are, you're changing your lifestyle, you're beginning to move. And I believe even working on your nutrition and all that, how did that impact your mental health? Because as you answer that question, then Dr. Lenny will step in and just explain to us how physical health impacts our mental health from a doctor's perspective. And so let's begin with Selam, and then we'll go to Daktari, and you will talk to us, because sometimes we ignore our physical health. And from what I'm hearing from Selam is that physical health is so important, for our mental health and all. And so, Selam, back to you before we jump to Daktari.
Okay. So as I began to take care of the physical health, a lot of things changed. I believe, and in fact, after that, I also actually went to study about mental health because I kept meeting people, who asked the same questions. One of the things that I was going through was mood swings. And so when I wake up in the morning and exercise, the good hormones check in, and I have the energy to face the day and have that joy and not feeling that you're having these mood swings throughout the day. You're constantly angry, constantly anxious, you're worried. COVID season, you're thinking, oh my goodness, what if I get COVID? What if your body, your mind is going through a lot of issues. So I was able to improve my sleep. When I wake up, I'm not feeling like I've not slept. My sleep quality, it really improved. It helped me to deal with anxiety, that feeling. Sometimes when people talk about depression, they think it's, you've gone crazy. People, mix up mental health and mental illness. But for me, talking about mental health, I'm talking about the small things that we take for granted. If you're constantly moody, if you're constantly, and sometimes you don't even feel like waking up in the morning to face the day, there is an issue there. And so getting up to work on my physical health really improved the state of my mind. I would look forward to the next day because I was ready for it physically. I became more energetic. I began to do things that I was not able to do before. I had sharper memory. I remember during that time is when I did a lot of courses online. I went back to school, studied. I began to write stuff. I began to inspire people online. I mean, I was doing things, and people were asking me, "Where do you get time to do these things?" It's because my physical body was in the right state. I became more relaxed, especially with my kids, and decided saying, Mom, we like this version of you. Everything, changed around me, and I was able to focus more and do what I set to do in a particular day. And yeah, so of course, physical health has a lot to do with our mental health. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Selam, for that. Dakari, if you could go ahead and unmute and step into the conversation. This is, and just help us understand how our physical health and taking care of our nutrition, taking care of our physical, activities and all helps our mental health.
Thank you, Reverend. And I also want to thank Selam for really speaking a lot about some of the things that I would have been glad to mention. It seems that she was on one side and now she's at a particularly good place, simply because she's been to a point where she has understood that a healthy mind, or rather a healthy body, would lead to a completely healthy mind, and vice versa. In other words, that it is difficult to separate the two. It is important to know that, as we say, as the saying goes, that a healthy body leads to a healthy mind. It is also equal to say that primarily what you eat, what you consume is what will, build your body. What you consume in terms of content, whether it is material on paper or, literature, whatever it is, what you watch, likely what comes out of you, whatever pictures, images, whatever will come out of your mouth is again likely to be based on what you have been consuming. And therefore it is very difficult not to correlate these two together. And here we're just going to try and make a distinction between, the physical health and the mental health. Often enough, when we talk about health, people feel that it is only, narrowly based on the physical. In other words, the lack of or the absence of a disease or a disease process or an illness. But the truth of the matter is that it is not just that. It is more than that. There is more to it. And the more is that it is also referring to the aspect of your mental well-being, where we're really talking about how are your emotions? How is your emotional health? How is your psychological health? How is your social well-being? So all of those three blocks come together and they become part of your complete wellness. So when you're talking about good health, we really are talking about both the mental in those three aspects, and then the physical, the absence of a disease process. And probably as an example, I'll probably just mention that one of the correlations is that for you to have a complete well-being, your body, for example, will produce certain chemicals in the brain cells, rather. And these ones say chemicals such as serotonin or endorphins. And this, in the layman's language, really would refer to those transmitters or those chemicals that bring about a feel-good mood, or they improve your composure, they improve your general health in the terms that you feel good about yourself. You're happy, you're joyful, you're feeling energetic, you have had adequate sleep, you have an appetite for your food, and all of those aspects. And these ones, as you can see, are produced in the brain cells. So if at all your brain cells are not at a good place because of your physical not being at a good place either, then it's definitely going to affect your moods for the day, for example. So you may have an extreme of moods, either you're extremely joyful or very saddened. You could have therefore mood swings, and other conditions such as anxiety, depression, lost appetite, not being interested in the kind of job that you do, are all part of your, or rather will emanate from a poor aspect of your physical health. And so it is important to note that it is difficult to separate those two. And so when you're talking about complete health, we really are talking about those two together. So it's a two-in-one, and therefore it is difficult not to say that this is not a two-way street. It is ideally a two-way street where the body affects the mind and the mind affects the body. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Dr. I'd like to ask an off-the-cuff question, because from what I'm hearing you saying and something that Selam mentioned, um, does it mean that if, for example, I'm physically active in the morning, I do activities that release those feel-good hormones, that as I go through the day, I'm going to actually have a better day in my interaction with people, in the work that I do. I'm going to be more joyful, not depressed, not put down by issues, and therefore, people who interact with me will think I'm a very good person, and I'll be very excited about my job, my assignments. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely right. That is the point I am trying to put across, that it is not easy not to miss out on someone who is going through a mental health issue or a physical health issue. Likely those things that you have mentioned, the productivity of the individual when they show up, say this is Monday morning, and when they're coming into the office, from the demeanor, the manner in which they're walking, the manner in which they will greet those that they work with in the office. And those already will tell you a little story about, did they sleep well? Did they have proper breakfast this morning? Are they at a good place mentally or physically? Are they looking drained? And in the course of the day, you're able to establish whether this person has been productive. And if, of course, not being supervised, then ideally, in an ideal world, you'll be able to tell how productive have I been this morning. Am I feeling like I need to go to the coffee point now and again to recharge, or to, find some motivation, or find something to jumpstart my day? And so it is absolutely true that all that is relevant for us to take care of.
All right, thank you, Dr. And this conversation is becoming very interesting. If we had more HR people here, I think they would realize, so all we need to do, anyway, let me not get into that, but it's quite interesting. Let me go back to Selam, and then I'll come back to you, Dr. Selam, I'd like to ask, you see, many people feel very overwhelmed when they need to begin to change their nutrition, begin to work on their physical health so that they can end up at a place of better physical health. And a lot of people tend to give up. Somebody goes to the gym and they give up. Somebody tries this and they give up. What kept you motivated? And how did you overcome those moments of discouragement and setback to the point where you literally pulled, according to what you said, you literally pulled your friend, you pulled your husband, you pulled your children, and you all got moving? And how have you kept that going? Because this has been a while. Because I'm listening to you, and you talked about how you then came to the place where you stopped taking medication, and you've been asking doctors as you do your wellness checkups, am I okay? Am I okay? But it's not just the being okay. It's the fact that there's something here that you began to do and you kept at it. What kept you motivated? And how can we also end up at the place where we are motivated to really make some radical changes in our lives?
Great. What kept me going, what kept pushing me to do this thing is, number one, purpose. I realized that God put me here on this earth for a purpose, and I have an assignment. And so the more I take care of my body, my mind, all these things, it meant that I would not be able to fulfill what my God-given assignment is. And so that was the number one thing. I would wake up in the morning and say, wait a minute, I have a purpose. I have an assignment God has for me. And for me to do that, my body must be in the right shape. My mind must be in the right frame of mind. And so I think that is it. I work a lot with children. And so children need you to be bubbly and excited and energetic. You cannot be around children and sit down on a chair, slop around and say, oh, do this for me and do that. Hey, children, do this. You have to be part of the. If they want to sit on the ground. If you run around all them, believe it or not, I can see internet is, I don't know if you can hear me. One of the things that, okay, really, what I did, and this is, I tell all women and mothers who are exercising, look at your children. I have a picture of my family right in front of me when I'm exercising. It's right in front of the wall. And I look at it and I say, I need to be there for these people. These people need me, you know? And so even when I'm feeling pain, because sometimes it's painful to exercise, you feel the aches and all the pains. It's sometimes hard to drink water. If you're not used to drinking water all the time, you go like, man, this water tastes bad, but you have to drink that water. So what keeps me going? Eating vegetables, fruits, working out is my family. And so they are my number one motivation. So number one, I said purpose, my family, and then the results. You know, when you see the results, it keeps you going. When you see the impact you're making in not just yourself, but in the lives of others, that keeps you going. I think this is not just for me. Yes, it has benefits directly for me, but it's for the people around me. It's for the people that I'm impacting, the people that see that I'm a better person now. And they will come and ask you, what are you doing about your life? So all these things, you know, seeing the results, the purpose, the people around me, all these things keep pushing me to keep going and not giving up. Because if I give up, I will be, you know, the things that God has called me to do. I will not be able to be there for my family and to have energy, you know. Can you imagine a person who is constantly happy and joyful to serve, joyful to be there, excited? All these things keep me going. And this is very important for me. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Selam, for that. In essence, what I'm hearing you saying is that it's not possible for me to keep going and to keep motivated, you know, over the long haul if I have no purpose. There is nothing, you know, that is driving me. And I agree. Many times when there is no purpose to what we are doing, we begin to feel like, you know, I'm wasting time. Why am I doing this to myself? Why am I punishing myself? Why am I going through this pain? Let me turn to Dr. The question that I have for you is, in your practice, how often do you see a direct correlation between a patient's mental health and their physical health condition? You know, their mental health state and their physical health condition. And also help us understand here, because Selam mentioned it, but I'd like you to hear from your expert opinion. People tend to think, and even right here, as we are talking about the issue of mental health, people tend to think that mental health is being crazy, being mad, running on the streets naked and stuff like that. Help us understand the difference between mental health and mental illness. And so, Dr. over to you.
Thank you. Once again, we said that it is not easy not to miss out where someone is already suffering a mental health issue from the health issues. They come very, very close to each other. But also what I'd also like to say is that there's a difference between mental illnesses and mental health issues. Often when we're dealing with mental conditions such as psychosis and many others, then often we will need to have expert diagnosis, and of course at the same time get medication from the right doctors who are particularly aligned in that particular area. However, generally speaking, we will be able not to miss, again, someone who is having a mental health issue from the health issues, because right from the moment that they will come in, I said at the beginning, that the mental health, if supposing one has a mental health issue or they are in a poor health state, then they will tend to already present with certain symptoms. That could mean a basic thing as just how they are walking into the consultation room and the manner in which they are sat down while being attended. It could also mean that, therefore, that affects their physical well-being. One of the things that when you go to a hospital setup, they will get you to a space where we call the triage area, where they're able to check out your vital symptoms. And one of the issues that will be looked at there is your pulse rate, your blood pressure, your temperatures, and the like. And that is one of the first stages in which you're able to pick out what you already have seen or have suspected with what it is that you confirm. And therefore, a poor mental state will already present in a certain manner that is so clear, that is so evident physically when you show up. So from the physical or facial appearance to the things that we tend to check when we have a look at you or when we conduct a physical examination. And then further on, when we are able to get into lab work and are able to do investigations in terms of, looking at your blood sample or your urine samples and whatever else, chest x-rays, imaging and whatever, all of those ones will form the basis on which I already have formed a certain opinion about how you're presenting just from how you walk into the office. And so that already helps you to make a certain diagnosis or impression. Beyond that, we talk about, therefore, that the mental health will very easily be able to give evidence in itself that you come to the hospital presenting with certain symptoms and you're thinking, I have a terrible illness or I'm particularly in a bad place. But when we take a proper history, we are able to realize that this is probably related from work stress, or it is probably because you have an unfavorable situation at home, or probably you're thinking about, your career moves and what has not been working out. You could also be drained from just too much activity. Maybe over the weekend, you have been, watching movies through and through. You probably have been in an area where you're a sports person and therefore you have been engaged in sporting activity the entire weekend. And so when you show up on a Monday or on a Tuesday or on a Thursday, you feeling like my body is aching. I have, generally I feel lethargic or tired. It's simply not because you are suffering from a particular physical illness, but it is simply from the fact that your mind is tired, it has not rested well, you probably are dehydrated, and it's very basic, therefore, things that we will tend to realize are the main causes of the reason you have showed up at the hospital. And so the thing is that it is difficult not to establish the cause, because it is right before our very own eyes, only that we are not too sure about the issues that come. And therefore, it is common to be able to relate the two. Very, very common. It is a common occurrence, and you can almost make an impression of diagnosis just from the history, even without investigations.
All right, thank you. Let me ask you a few more questions. There's a growing conversation about lifestyle medicine. Could you elaborate on how lifestyle choices like diet, exercise, and sleep can be just powerful tools in maintaining mental health?
Right. Thank you again. When you're talking about lifestyle medicine, we really are referring to an area where there is, traditionally we deal with, evidence-based healthcare practices, and our main emphasis is largely on, treatment or curative medicine. However, there is an aspect that is missed out quite often, and it is really the wrong practice, or rather, it is something that we ought to focus more on, and that is the preventive aspect, the prevention of disease condition, illnesses, and just how they come about. And so when you're talking about lifestyle medicine, that is the thing that we are referring to, a branch of medicine where we're really looking at a proper emphasis on prevention of disease, illnesses, and health conditions, and giving it a preference or a priority over curative part of the treatment. And so when we're talking about that, we really want to look at what are the things that we can modify about our lifestyle. And so we may want to term it also as lifestyle modifications, because a lot of these medical conditions, illnesses, hypertension, diabetes, obesity, insomnia, and also mental illnesses such as anxiety, depression, psychosis, and the like, will have emanated from a poor lifestyle balance where you're not balancing your life in terms of the various aspects of your life, probably your finances and your social life and your spiritual. You don't have a proper balance. And therefore, out of it, then we are able to realize that you have suffered from this, that, and the other condition, which would all have been preventable. And I want to say that this concept is not new. It is actually an old concept of preventive medication. A certain very well-known philosopher by the name of Socrates really talked about this many, many years back. And about 2,000 years ago, he talked about prevention of disease and how it is the primary way in which we can prevent disease conditions. And at the same time, when you look at that, then we are able to say these are the measures that we need to put in place. These are the things to avoid. These are the things that we require for you to make an adjustment or change so that you may be able to live a completely healthy life. And therefore, we look at certain aspects, and you have mentioned 2, 3 of them, which is nutrition or diet. We've talked about physical, or rather we shall mention physical exercise. And we're not going to ask much. In terms of nutrition, again, going back to our history and years gone by, we have noted that a number of conditions that are now being managed almost all over the world, there has been a recent surge and increase in conditions such as hypertension, diabetes, obesity. These are very, very common things now, and they're not new also to the younger generation. We've seen 21-year-olds, 18-year-olds, 24-year-olds, even 14-year-olds suffering from high cases of high cholesterol, hyperlipidemia, obesity, and the like. Is simply because we have thrown out through the window the old practices of proper nutrition. And in nutrition here, we're just going to mention that it is necessary for us to stick to certain basic rules. It will be good to refer to the Bible, and the Bible has given us several and many scriptures really that would tell us that sticking to certain kind of foodstuffs would be ideal for us. For example, we know about the story of Daniel, who really was on a diet of fruit and vegetables for quite some time. And in the end, he actually looked better. He was stronger. He was mentally alert compared to others that had been, on a different kind of diet. And therefore, when you look at that, that is a proper Bible principle on foodstuffs that we need to incorporate in our diets. And therefore, fruit and vegetable have to be part and parcel of our meal plans. About 2 portions every day, either in the morning or in the afternoon, and particularly before meals. It is a common practice for us to have, a dessert or a fruit soon after we have had dinner. And really, that does not help the cause. Most of that ends up as roughage, really, rather than something that would be nutritious to our bodies. So just finding out what is right for me, what is a proper diet that would work out for me. There are plenty of dietitians, nutritionists, and of course, general practitioners or people that deal with medicine that you can reach out to, or even your own personal healthcare provider. They would be in a good place to just be able to guide you on what is good for you at whatever age. Of course, foodstuffs that are consumed by 20-year-olds will not be ideal for a 50-year-old or a 35-year-old, of course, for many reasons. And therefore, it is important to make sure that you get a proper, nutritional counseling from nutritionists. And what you basically saying that we would like for people to engage or embrace in plant and vegetables, plant-sourced kind of foods. Here we will talk about fruit, vegetables, we will talk about legumes or lentils, and those are preferable. It would be nice to keep away from animal products, particularly those that have fats and saturated fats, such as red meat and all other forms of meats that are in the market and available. And that is one of the things. Of course, nutrition means that you have to balance your plate. Your meal plan has got to be balanced. You have to have the 3 and 4 types of nutrients everybody needs: the carbohydrates, the proteins, the vitamins, and the fats as well. They have to be balanced. And therefore, that is a thing that you'll be able to very quickly understand when you visit your nutritionist or your doctor. Part of the consultation is for you to leave the consultation room feeling well taken care of, feeling satisfied with the consultation, and therefore do not be in a hurry to leave the consultation room before you are adequately advised. And therefore, like I had Selam mention that at some point that she was deficient in certain vitamins, and they all particularly play a very vital role in the general well-being of our bodies. As our bodies age and as our bodies at some point are undergoing changes because of a health issue, then when we take up lab investigations and images, then we're able to find out that certain disease processes are simply out of a deficient vitamin or mineral, which are something that we can prevent. And that is why we're talking about prevention being one of the things that we'd want for us to embrace more than the curative aspect of it. And of course, sleep is very important. Sleep, and we mentioned sleep, being adequate sleep, being sufficient sleep, a minimum of 6 to 8 hours, preferably 6 to 8 hours is recommended through and through. A proper straight sleep, not interrupted sleep, but a straight 6 to 8 hours of sleep. Of course, it gives your mind time to recover, your body time to regenerate new cells, and of course, take care of your body cells and brain cells that are undergoing changes as you age. And at the same time, that remember, you're putting your mind and your body into use every other day. So as much as you're physically active, you need time for your body to recover, to replenish, and to be able to build new stores and revitalize yourself. And of course, that will come from how well you treat it. That includes proper nutrition and getting adequate rest. So quality of the sleep, not the number of hours, but the quality of the sleep that you get allows for the brain to, be at a good place to process the day that is ahead, to be able to consolidate, memories. When you think about something, when you say, I'll write down a note, and be able to do this. If you don't put it down, very likely that your mind will probably not remember it. But that is simply because your mind has not been at a good place of rest. You are fatigued, you're exhausted. And so it is important for us to focus on the number of hours, but more importantly, the quality of your sleep. And if you have overfed or underfed, likely you will not sleep very well. Your mind will not get a good rest. If you do not allow your body to recharge with proper and adequate sleep, then again, the next day you will feel tired and you want to plug in at a coffee point or with strong tea or whatever other stimulants, energy drinks and the like. And very likely you're only going to give yourself a little push, just a little charge to take you to probably 10 o'clock and you're back to where you started. And so nutrition, sleep are all important for both the physical and the mental health.
All right. Thank you, Dr. What I've gotten from you, and I'll need to ensure that I work on, is that it's very important to be physically active. Number two, I need to be very careful with my nutrition to ensure that I'm eating well and eating properly. And thank you for bringing up the story of Daniel in Daniel chapter 1, how it's what we eat that determines how we live. Just being able to eat a diet that is rich with vegetables and fruits. And lastly, that is very important to rest, and not just rest, but sleep and sleep enough. I love that. And you also brought in the issue of when we eat, for example, fruits, that needs to be before meals, and we give ourselves time to be able to digest that. I love that. We'll come to you in just a moment. Because we are nearing our end. We have 8 minutes to bring this to a close. And so I'd like to throw a question to Selam, and then I'll throw a question to you, and we'll bring this to a close. And so if you could, for maybe about 3 minutes or so, just answer this question. Selam, when you look back on your journey and how you were able to begin to be active, get moving, and how that helped change your mental health to the point where your kids began saying, we want this version of you, as in it was so different that your kids saw two versions. They were like, we like this mom, we don't like the other mom. When you look back at that and you look at the interplay between mental and physical health, what are some things, maybe 2 or 3 points, that you would want us to know, that you would wish every one of us who is here knew? And also just reiterating the fact that you got to the place where you even stopped taking medicine that doctors had told you that you will live with for the rest of your life. What are some of those things that you can point out for us that will help us live better with better mental health?
All right. I think one of them is to realize that your physical health is directly related to your mental health. a lot of times we make a mistake of imagining, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll go for a walk tomorrow. I'll exercise tomorrow. I'll eat right tomorrow. And so we carry it forward to tomorrow and not realizing the effect it is having on our mental well-being. And Dr. is here. He will tell us. If you keep going to the hospital because you are having hyperacidity, you're having issues of headache all the time, brain fog, all these things, that we go to hospital on and off, or even constantly having flus and colds, you keep finding yourself in that space. Check out, what are you eating? What are you doing physically? What are you doing? If you check, one of the things you find out is you're not drinking water, you will have headaches. And so, we are human beings. Sometimes we falter. The day I do not drink water, I will definitely have that headache. The day I do not exercise, I'll feel so moody and, frustrated with things not moving and not being productive. So honestly, to be honest, physical health, mental health, these two things are out of the choices that you make. So what are the choices you're making with your life today? Think about it. And then once you realize the choices you're making are not right, what are you doing about it? And so for me, that's what I want people to remember. It's directly related. Your physical health is directly related. You have a choice. It's not like you have no option. You can decide to either take that painkiller or drink water. You can decide to eat right at the right time, because sometimes people don't even eat food. They say, I'm not eating because of, too much work. And yes, a lot of work can end you up not eating even. And you find yourself eating a lot of food, big portions of food, and then you find yourself with problems. Or not eating at all with acidity issues. So I had to make a choice. So you have a choice to make. And don't give up. One of the things we learned in Anchor is life is a marathon, not a sprint. So if you want to achieve those goals, for physical health and mental health, take the small steps to getting there. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that, Selam. And thank you for that plug. Talking about throwing in the class in there. Allow me to just say to everyone who is here, there's a class we offer called Anchor. It changed Selam's life. It can change your life. Lenny, what would you say to us? What are your last words in the next 1 minute? Because that's what we have remaining. What would you say to us?
Thank you yet again. I will want to mirror what Selam has mentioned earlier and what she started out by saying, that one of the things that's important is for you to realize or to know your purpose. Because once you know your purpose, then you're going to do things purposefully. You're going to be objective in everything else that you're going to undertake, so that you do not cut short your purpose, or that you do not, you fail not to achieve it. And so from that standpoint, then you're able to make the right kind of decisions. So I'd suggest that one, know what your purpose is and what it will require. Will it require to be in good health? Will it require to have to be mentally alert? And therefore you'll do the right things. For example, if coming on Monday morning, did I get adequate sleep for me to be able to, go through the meeting that I have to, or to be able to attend a session like this? Then it requires for me to have been up earlier to be able to, just prepare myself and get ready. So those are some very obvious things to do. And to observe the number of hours that you sleep. It's not just about the hours. We talked about the quality of sleep. So it has to be continuous 6 to 8 hours of sleep. It is important. And if you can do the 8, even better. You simply are able to divide your day into 8 hours, 8 hours of rest, 8 hours of work, and 8 hours of giving to your loved ones and to your purposes and whatever else. Number 3, to have a proper nutrition and nutritional counseling, if necessary. Please kindly get in touch with the right professionals, and they'll be at hand to assist you with that. I'm also available in case you would require to hear from me. Then, of course, my details will be available for you to be able to reach out, and we'll be glad to help you. And nutrition in itself is a very major factor that affects everything else about us. And so it's important to remember that. And finally, exercise. Again, Selam mentioned that she chose something that she was able to do. She loves to swim, she loves to take a walk, and therefore those are some of the things that she can do. So for you to be able to attain complete physical fitness, and the book of Timothy tells us that physical training is good, it is necessary that you get into physical fitness. It could simply mean taking a walk, you could swim, you could jump rope or skip rope, you could simply do some exercise in a really small space in your house. You really do not need to go to the gym if you're not a gym person. And the target should be at least 10 to 30 minutes. 10 to 30 minutes. Should it be every day, that would be perfect. But if you can't, at least make sure that you're getting about 210 minutes of exercise throughout the week. That's about 30 minutes every other day, generally. And of course, finally, that your complete general well-being or health status is affected by both the mental and the physical, but important that all decisions emanate from the mind. So mental health is important. Any health goal that you have, any physical goal that you have, be it at work or at home, remember the battles are won in the mind, and therefore the battlefield really is the mind. So if you're able to take hold of that, manage that, control that, be at your best mentally, then you'll be best placed to be able to just live a completely wholesome and healthy life and lifestyle. And finally, the health style modifications. If you need to change your diet, if you need to change your occupation so that you have enough rest, do you need to change careers, or do you need to change offices, or the kind of, or the nature of job that you do, so that you have adequate time to eat, to rest, and to do all of those things, then it would be ideal that you do just that. And really, those are the things that I'd recommend. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Dr. And I think I've seen some questions that have been asked in regard to, are there medicines or supplements people can take to supplement their nutritional or dietary needs? But there's something that you mentioned that I think I need to encourage everyone to do. Before you enter that chemist, before you enter that shop, to be able to buy supplements. Lenny has said, Dr. has said, let's address him officially. Dr. Lenny Muchina has said that you need to consult. And so don't just, don't prescribe things for yourself. And I think it's time we stopped buying over-the-counter medication for things and begin to consult. And Dr. is available, and not just him. There are many other people that you can consult who can help you with even your dietary needs and everything. Because remember, we talked about lifestyle medicine, and we said that if you change your lifestyle, you're going to end up healthier. And when you're healthy physically, you're going to be healthy mentally. Thank you so much for being part of our Mental Health Monday today. And as we wrap up today's conversation, it's clear that our mental and physical health are deeply intertwined, each profoundly influencing the other. Selam's journey, was just a very clear indicator to us that, there's transformative power in taking care of your body and taking care of your mind. And Dr. Lenny and his insights, Dr. you have shed valuable light on the scientific underpinnings, the whole medical world, showing us that it's possible for us to live healthy. And I like something that you said at the beginning: health is not the absence of disease. It's how is your life? How are you living? And I just love that. To our listeners, remember that every step towards better physical health is a step towards mental health, or mental resilience, or mental clarity. And whether it's choosing nutritious foods, engaging in regular physical activity, or ensuring that you have adequate rest, your path to a healthier mind begins with how you treat your body. And so treat your body right. Thank you so much, Selam Kairu, and thank you so much, Dr. Lenny Muchina, for sharing your experiences and expertise with us. And to everyone listening, may you find strength and inspiration in your journey to integrated wellness. I'd like to just say you are invited to go ahead and sign up and take the class called Anchor. The details will be posted together with these videos online. And for those of you who are here, you can very easily contact, Doram Kabili. She's putting the contacts and the numbers on the chat section for Zoom, and that will be also available on every other platform. It was such a joy, such a pleasure having each one of you here for today's episode of Mental Health Mondays. We will see you next week as we continue to talk about and to have these conversations. And I believe that our lives will be impacted greatly. Let me remind all of us, take care of your physical health. You will end up at the place where you have better mental health. And when you take care of your mental health, you will end up with better physical health. And having said that, thank you so much, everyone. We bring this to a close and look forward to seeing you again next Monday. Bye-bye.